founder of Community Heroes, and today I had the honor of interviewing an extraordinary individual, Briana Landis, and she's going to talk a little bit about her works with multiple sclerosis and give us a little bit of background, some things she's done, and some of her accomplishments thus far. So, Briana, I just want to make sure you stay here with me.
I'm here. Hello.
All right. Okay. Well, first of all, I would say again, thank you so much for being the first one to be interviewed. We have a lot more interviews lined up, so definitely appreciate you being the first one. And for those that don't know, I don't personally know Briana, but I've seen her story. I read a little bit about it and reached out to her, and she was nice enough to agree to interview. So I definitely want to say thank you for that. Now, Briana, you have an extraordinary story, and I'm just going to, before I start jumping into questions, I'm just going to let you give a little background about yourself for those who don't, individuals who right now listening that don't know you.
Okay. So you want me to talk about myself?
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So when I was 4 years old, I started getting really bad headaches. And when they didn't get any better, my mom took me to the doctor, and they did a whole bunch of tests. And right before I left, I took an eye test, and I couldn't even see the big E. And long story short, about 1 year later, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And multiple sclerosis at the time was very rare in children. They don't even think children could get MS. So it's been a long road, and I've been doing great with it. And one of my biggest goals is just to make, sure that people know that kids can get MS, and, of course, helping us to get closer to a cure for MS.
Okay, now, for those who don't know, who are listening right now, how old are you right now?
I'm 22.
Okay, so, I kind of know you got diagnosed, so I just want the listeners to know that we are talking about a young lady with a lot more years to go. Now, you presently reside in what county?
Mooresville, North Carolina.
Okay. All right. Now, this is a little bit about your accomplishments for education-wise. I was reading about, I think you were valedictorian of your high school.
Yes, sir. Now you're embarrassing me.
And nothing to be embarrassed about that. I mean, that's extraordinary. As far as your study habits, you want to kind of talk about that and just, because that's, for those who don't know, valedictorian, that's pretty much all A's, the whole school year, right?
Yes, sir. Number one.
Yeah.
And then I went on to go to Meredith College, which is a small all-women's college in Raleigh, North Carolina. And there I studied biology.
Okay. Biology. So, in Meredith is right here in the capital, like you said, Raleigh, and it's all female school, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So are you graduated there, or are you currently still going?
I just graduated in December.
Okay. And when you graduated there, were you valedictorian there too, or?
No, but thank you for thank you for thinking so highly of me.
Yeah, well, you went to still I can imagine very competitive field still with your degree. So some of the questions I had jotted down that I wanted to ask you, I'm gonna kind of jump into some of those now.
Okay.
Okay, so one question was saying that you have some major accomplishments education-wise, but as you were, going through the educational system. What was, in your opinion, the biggest accomplishment that you had done, and also what was like one of the biggest fears that you had during that time?
When I was in college?
Either one, high school or college.
Oh, okay. Well, my biggest accomplishment in high school would definitely be valedictorian. I worked really, really hard for that. But I believe in college, my biggest accomplishment was getting the honor to go speak with members of Congress about MS and things that they could do to help people in the MS community through different laws they can pass and different things they can do to help us. And that was definitely a big honor, getting to go talk to our Congress members about what they can do for people like me with MS and the fact they would listen. So.
Okay. Now going back to your advocacy for MS and which is multiple sclerosis, can you kind of just give a little background what you have done in efforts to spread the message about multiple sclerosis and just the presence of it?
Sure. So the past 2 years, I have gone to Washington, D.C. and advocated with other awesome MS activists all over the United States. And we've advocated for different things for people with MS, such as drug costs, healthcare, different things like that. And I've also advocated on the state level with lots of my MS activists that are in North Carolina. And we've advocated through our local offices and just gone and talked to them, written letters. And also we got to meet the governor, which was really cool.
Okay, that's awesome. So, again, that to be able to travel to various states and, meet these different politicians and be able to go on various platforms, I mean, that's pretty cool. I can imagine that, in your wildest dream, you probably think that you would have been on such a platform. How did you initially get a chance to be able to go on various platforms to be able to advocate for multiple sclerosis?
So I'm going to go back a little bit farther. So basically, since I was diagnosed so young, and none of the doctors would see me because people weren't diagnosed with MS when they were 4 years old. That just it was unheard of. So no doctors would see me. My mom has been advocating for me since I was really, really young. And so watching her, I kind of learned how to become my own advocate. And I've also been working with the Nash MS Society since I was that young and doing walks and all that stuff. So basically everyone in the Nash MS Society has kind of become like family to me. My mom's, my dad's, anything I need. My college was right down the road from the North Carolina headquarters for their office. So they were always right there with me. But I gave a speech at an event, and one of the people at the MS Society invited me to go to D.C. with her. And I honestly thought she was joking. And then about 2 weeks later, I received an email from her and realized that she wasn't joking. She was being completely serious. And that March is when I went. So, and it was the most insane opportunity. I couldn't believe I was doing it. Even when I was doing it, I still can't believe I did it. It was so cool and one of the most amazing experiences. So
that's awesome. Now, let me ask you, what advice would you give the listeners who are listening to this podcast right now of who want to go in and pursue big dreams and just go outside of their boundaries? What advice would you give to them and going thus forward to try to accomplish those things?
Well, I just started saying yes to anything and everything within reason. But if someone invited me to do something, if someone invited me to talk or asked me about MS or invited me to go with them somewhere, I just always said yes. And even though I'm a terrible public speaker, I've gotten a lot better. But when I first started out, I would be giving my speech and literally start crying on stage as I'm talking. And I've just grown because I just kept saying yes, just kept going back. Anybody who'd ask me out of MS, I'd talk about it. You just keep going and keep talking, and, you know, just never quit. You're never too young, too old, too shy, too anything to accomplish your goals. So.
And that is definitely true. I believe that sentiment myself. Exactly. Okay, so now another question for our listeners who are listening right now. Like I said, since you have been in so many different venues and you've obtained so many different resources, are there any resources that you would like to share for anyone who may be battling multiple sclerosis right now that you just like to share with the listeners?
Ooh, a shameless plug. Okay, well, obviously my loves are the MS Society, and I love them so much. And if you are a person who has just been diagnosed with MS, the MS Society has an awesome program called MS Navigators, and they'll help you and walk you through anything that you need there. Or you can contact me. I love talking to new people, especially people who are diagnosed young, because I know how tough that is and how hard that is. And also in your area, in Goldsboro, North Carolina, I have a friend that does Walk for MS, FUR, so like dogs. And she sells dog calendars every year, which my dog was Miss November, and that's how she raises money for MS. So there's lots of cool stuff happening with the MS Society.
Right. And I've seen the fur animals, because I think I was looking, they had like these really cool, and look, I guess they were like dog tags they made, and they were really, the colors were like orangish looking color, but I mean they're very active whenever they do their walks. So I've noticed them around, and their information I'll make sure whenever we put this podcast up that I have in the description information where individuals can contact you and some of those resources that you just mentioned.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so another question. Of course, I believe that with any individual that goes on and does great work, that they have to have a strong support system and just have positive vibes around. So I was just wondering,